Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. John informs Steve concerning his gathering with Konstantin. At the Dark Fix office, Steve was both irate and concerned when he discovered that John had met with Konstantin alone in the recreation area without Steve's information. John said that he hadn't realized he would meet with Konstantin. John conceded that Steve had been correct when Steve had said that John knew not to meet an outsider alone around evening time. John said that he didn't have any idea what was befalling him, and he added that he loathed himself for having additionally deceived Marlena about the gathering. John irately had stood up to Konstantin for being familiar with the pawn. Furthermore, he asserted that Stefano was unknown to him. He said, "No, I messaged you since I need to converse with you about Victor and his pawn. Also, that is the point at which I requested that he let me know all that he is familiar with my experience," John said. John added that he had been urged into threatening to use a weapon on Konstantin. Steve was intrigued when John inquired about the significance of the name Katerina. Steve rehashed the name, however he said that he didn't have the foggiest idea who Katerina was. As John developed angrier, he lost his equilibrium and started breathing intensely. After John got it together, he said that Konstantin had been provoking him since the two had first investigated each other's eyes. Steve said that John couldn't permit Konstantin to shake John, who gazed curiously at Steve. Steve inquired as to why John was taking a gander at him so peculiarly. "Since I want to be aware, what you recall about the pawn?" "Anything, Steve." "Everything," John said. Steve delayed momentarily prior to answering. "I wish I had something to tell you, man. The main thing I know is that the pawn and you're not that individual any longer. What's more, I want to accept that. Thus do you," Steve said. At the point when Steve and John consented to meet again the next day, John thought about what had befallen him. "I'll let you know what needs to happen at the present time. We need to move that bastard away from you and out of our lives in general, regardless of the stuff," Steve said decidedly. Regardless of the stuff, John rehashed an arrangement. At Sloane and Eric's condo, Jude's crying intruded on Eric and Sloane's arrangements for supper. Sloane answered by pouring a huge glass of wine while Eric minded Jude. Sloane poured one more glass before Eric returned, and she started swallowing wine. Sloane developed fierce when Eric asked the amount of she possessed to drink. Sloane whimpered that Jude cried at whatever point she and Eric were in the temperament to have intercourse. Sloane said that Eric put Jude ahead of her. Sloane got even angrier when Eric suggested that Jude sleep with him and Sloane. She said that Eric thought often more about Jude's prosperity than Sloane's. She cried that Jude was meddling in her and Eric's marriage. Afterward, after Jude was snoozing, Sloane's indignation died down a little. She and Eric arranged to have intercourse on the lounge chair. At an AA meeting, Teresa talked about her new backslide. As Brady entered, Teresa said that she felt more grounded in light of the assistance she had around her. Teresa and Brady shared a recognizing look with each other after Teresa completed the process of talking. Brady stated at the conclusion of the meeting that he had come to attend a meeting because he had received an icy letter from Tate earlier that day. Brady expressed regret for not having been Tate's active parent for a significant portion of his life. Teresa embraced Brady as a demonstration of help, and she said that Tate and Rachel were fortunate to have Brady in their lives. Brady thanked Teresa for her support and added that Teresa was fortunate to have Brady. As she began to recall Brady and her past together, Teresa inquired about the significance of their most recent kiss. Teresa conceded that she had felt something when she had kissed Brady. Brady reminded Teresa that she was seeing someone. He said that he and Teresa ought to save things as straightforward as feasible for the good of Tate. Tate would eventually warm up to Brady, Teresa concurred. In Horton Town Square, Stephanie commended Everett for his story on the medication-dealing ring. Over supper, Stephanie said that she was falling head over heels for Everett once more. Everett said that he'd never dropped out of adoration with Stephanie, and they kissed. Stephanie proposed a Valentine's Day twofold date with Rafe and Jada. Everett said that he would have rather not share Stephanie with anybody on Valentine's Day. In the guests' region at Statesville, Harris gave Clyde a duplicate of the Observer's story on that day's medication bust in Salem. Clyde egotistically grinned at Harris, who highlighted Clyde's mug shot on the first page of the paper. "You're not in any way, shape or form bothered that you lost 7 kilos of narcotics today and a street pharmacist was shot dead? Clyde, you're really cool with that?" Harris inquired. Clyde laughed at the thought that he could run a fruitful medication cartel from in jail. At the point when Harris created a burner telephone that jail watches had recovered from Clyde's cell, Clyde guaranteed the telephone had been established by the watchman. Clyde utilized insinuation to suggest that he would uncover specific individuals from his medication ring, a not-so-subtle reference to Ava. "You can push off," Harris spat. At the point when Clyde straightforwardly referenced Ava, Harris took steps to send Clyde to a more terrible spot than Statesville, regardless of whether it implied bringing down Ava all the while. Clyde grinned that he won't ever fizzle. Harris said that he never fizzled, by the same token. Harris stood up, and he left. At the point when Harris was carefully concealed, Clyde's grin vanished. "Child of a bitch," he groused. Konstantin utilizations John the pawn to dispense with Maggie in marriage trick. Days of Our Lives, DOL, spoilers note that fans ought to prepare themselves for a few hazardous minutes in the place where there is Salem. John Capello's Konstantin Meliunis now holds the key to igniting the pawn personality of Drake Hodgson's John Black. On account of the odd-looking card he holds, John's pawn indoctrinating is actuated, and he demonstrated during the Monday, February 5th show that he will do anything he's told when he's under that impact. How might Konstantin utilize this for his potential benefit? Days of Our Lives spoilers Konstantin surges Maggie down the change. DOL spoilers infer that Konstantin's final plan has forever been to wed Maggie Kyriakis, Suzanne Rogers, and get sufficiently close to Victor Kyriakis, John Aniston, cash. Konstantin now has the perfect pawn to kill her so he can gain access to the Kyriakis fortune and keep his hands off of the whole thing, whether he kidnaps her, or something along those lines, or charms her into marrying him. Days of Our Lives spoilers, DOL spoilers, Konstantin uses John the pawn to kill Maggie in marriage scam. DOL spoilers, first comes love, then marriage, then murder. DOL spoilers say that Konstantin will find a way to get married to Maggie, wait a few weeks, and then plan her murder. He will create a scenario in which he invites John over, shows him the card, tells him to knock John out, and then tells John to kill Maggie. An ideal arrangement for a man needs to enjoy unheard of extravagance and comfort, and in light of the fact that John's accomplishing the messy work, nobody will remember to connect Konstantin to it. There's a decent opportunity Maggie won't bite the dust, anything John does, and she'll either be saved by somebody or her life will be saved at the emergency clinic. This might leave Konstantin scrambling in the meantime, assuming she is raced to the medical clinic and saved. Nonetheless, this may likewise prompt the Greek man being uncovered for the rubbish that he is. Will Konstantin use the pawn to kill Maggie? Leave a comment down below. Get the famous Peacock Cleanser day to day to get all the show.